Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. Tonight we have the great pleasure to have with us His Excellency Jean-Francois Coutain, Ambassador and Head of the European Union Delegation to the Kingdom of Cambodia. We have the pleasure to have him today with us because, you know, we just have, the EU just have the European Days, which is May the 9th. So it just gave me great pleasure to welcome you to the show, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Yes. Well, Ambassador, I think we know each other well, so I might as well just be on first name basis, Jean-Francois. So Siphana.
Siphana.
Right. Well, Jean-Francois, I think the EU just celebrate European Day. And that's great. I miss your speech in Cambodia,
yes.
But I heard your colleague in New Zealand, you know, giving a presentation, even the video of Lady Ashton. So perhaps before we get to the discussion, perhaps I'd like to give you maybe a couple minutes for you to introduce yourself a bit to the audience.
Oh, oui, sure, yeah. What can I tell you? First of all, I'm the first EU ambassador resident in Phnom Penh, and I'm very pleased to be in Cambodia.
What do you mean? What do you mean by the first ambassador?
First ambassador because all my predecessors were resident in Thailand.
Okay.
So covering actually Cambodia from Thailand.
Yes.
We have had for the last 10 years now a delegation here, but it was headed by Chargé d'Affaires,
yes,
with ambassador in Thailand.
Okay.
So I'm the first one.
Yes.
I'm very pleased to be the one.
Welcome.
Thank you. Actually, I guess as a diplomat, I have probably what I would qualify as a kind of bizarre past.
Yes.
Actually, I've been a civil servant of the European Union only for the last 10 years.
Okay.
Before that, I was working with development agencies.
Yes.
And I spent a lot of time in another Asian country, which is Afghanistan.
Wow.
I spent
during what period?
In two periods actually. The first one was during the 94-99 during the Mujahideen and
yes,
then Taliban period,
yes,
and then from 2001 to 2005 during the current regime.
Yes.
Another country of Asia, very different from Cambodia, with its own problems.
Yes.
I would say, unfortunately, still
yes,
with having problems now. And then I was posted in Thailand from 2005-2009.
So you know the region very well.
I know a little bit the region, and it's very interesting actually to have been in Thailand and then now to be in Cambodia. It's interesting to look at, you know, certain issues from both sides.
You did cover Cambodia,
I did
the region a bit, you know, Myanmar a bit, Laos a bit, no?
Yes, indeed. Yes, I was at that time I was a political counselor of the delegation, and I was covering Cambodia,
yes,
Laos,
yes,
and Myanmar,
yes,
and Thailand. 2005, you may remember that political situation in Thailand
yes,
started to have some difficulties,
yes,
to say, put it bluntly, and obviously I was quite busy with the situation in Thailand during my stay.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
Yeah.
So you've been in the region, grosso modo, and you've been in Cambodia, you know, for about 4 or 5 months.
Almost 6 now.
Almost 6 months.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the honeymoon period's over.
I'm
It's
afraid
6
so.
months. But it's a great day that the European Union is celebrating the European Day. So why May 9?
Why May 9? It's a speech actually.
Yes.
A speech given by a French foreign minister, the 9th May 1950, which is seen as a kind of the founding speech of the European Union. Europe was just going out of the Second World War.
Yes.
And this gentleman gave a vision,
yes,
and a very concrete proposal also on how to close the door,
yes,
to centuries of conflict in Europe,
yes,
and to put the European Union, the Europe continent,
yes,
on the track of peace.
Okay.
And it's why we are celebrating this 9th of May as
yes,
the Europe Day.
Okay.
Even it's actually the European Union history started only in 1957, 7 years after.
Okay.
But it's still for us the 9th of May, which is an important date.
Good, good. Well, I can say that, you know, Europe have a long history, and in terms of growth, in terms of international relation, in terms of global diplomacy, Europe is a major force to reckon with, and in the context of Europe relation with Asia, with ASEAN, Europe, the EU is a major, you know, trading partner, investment partner with ASEAN. I think we, in terms of ranking, ASEAN is ranked number 3, you know, as a European trading partner, while for the ASEAN, the EU is ranked number 2nd, number 2. So we're there. I mean, so the economic, the trading relation is there. And you know, even Cambodia, we see that the European Community is a major player. Last year we export more than 1.5 billion to European community. So in that sense, we see, you know, this economic relations strengthening, and perhaps now that we have the EU ambassador in Cambodia, number one, it's a sign of the sort of like enhancing, deepening of diplomatic relation, which I think is a virtuous circle, because when you have representation on the ground, there's more relation building up, and the whole thing keep getting better and better. So what's your view on generally on this whole thing?
I will maybe add one figure on what you said on the relationship between the EU and ASEAN.
Yes.
If I'm not wrong,
yes,
I think the EU is also the first investor into ASEAN. Not in Cambodia, but if you take ASEAN as a whole, yes, we are the first investor as well.
Yeah.
What is interesting is actually, whereas actually the European Union started as more kind of economic project, as you say, now the European Union is seen more and more as a global player in all the different facets or dimensions of it. Yes, still obviously a global player when it comes to trade and investment, but more and more also a global player on diplomatic issues, on foreign affairs, on security issues.
Yes.
And I think it's also this dimension that we are also bringing here in Cambodia. But that it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm here as a resident ambassador. It has to do with a new treaty of the European Union, which gives, since 2010, a new mandate to the EU delegation. So we are now not only dealing with what we did in the past, trade-related issues, cooperation issues, as we have a lot with Cambodia. I'm sure that we'll come back to that. But also the political and security dimension of our relation.
And before, there's a clear separation.
There was a clear separation, and we were not the European, at that time, the European Commission delegations. We are not in charge of that. So we are also in charge of that now, which give us now, I would say to an extent, much more interesting task, because we can tackle the relationship with one given country, such as Cambodia, from all the different angles. Obviously, all that being done in close cooperation with the member states represented here in Cambodia.
Well, I mean, I recall not long ago in 1st of April, you and I have the pleasure to co-chair a huge conference, you know, of the EU-ASEAN second summit, where there was more than 500 companies. You know, this is quite an exciting moment in terms of, I see the deepening of this economic relation, you know. And I also had the pleasure a few weeks earlier than that to be invited by the foreign minister of Italy, where ASEAN as a whole went to Italy and then meet Italian company. So I see a new wave of thinking in terms of more proactive, you know, interaction, you know, reaching out to each other to build this synergy in terms of to stimulate more economic growth and creating new sources of growth.
Yeah, I think what is probably what is interesting now, what is developing is between EU and ASEAN is, as you say, I mean, this closer relationship and deepening our relationship. I guess it's due also because our two groupings, the European Union and ASEAN, are the two most advanced groupings in terms of integration.
Yes.
I mean, there is no other regional grouping which can be compared to the EU or to ASEAN so far.
Yes. Not in Latin America?
Not so much. Yes, but not at the stage that already reached by ASEAN and even, especially by the EU.
Yes.
And I think it's also probably because people recognize that nowadays, I mean, one single country, probably apart some very large countries, especially emerging countries, other countries will have no future, I would say, if I can put it like that, without grouping with each other on a project, a vision.
Yes.
It's what we have been doing in the European Union for the last 55 years now. And it's what ASEAN has been doing now for 45 years.
Yes.
And I think that is not only important from an economic point of view or financial point of view. I guess it's also important if you look at it from a security point of view as well. And I think both groupings, ASEAN and EU, have a lot to learn from each other.
Yes.
From each other, I say that because I think quite often people are thinking that ASEAN should learn from the EU.
Yes.
I think we should also learn from ASEAN.
Vice versa.
Clearly.
There are lessons to be learned on both sides.
Yeah, clearly.
Yes.
I mean, Dr. Surin Pitsuvan, the Secretary General of ASEAN, is always used to say that the European Union is not a model for ASEAN, but a source of inspiration.
A source of inspiration.
Yes, and I think it should be both ways. Actually.
Indeed.
Yeah.
No, I think the way I see this collaboration taking place, it can only but reinforce over the year, and for Cambodia being part of the ASEAN, where in a matter of 2 years, 2015, ASEAN will be an ASEAN economic community.
Yes.
So I think this unity, this one whole ASEAN 600 million people bloc will be a good base for the bloc to assert more of its economic trade, influence with other part of the world, and in this case with the European Union.
But I guess it also probably, as any project like that, I guess it's also a challenge. I mean, for some of the countries. I mean, on Cambodia, I guess it's a challenge for Cambodia to be prepared for the 2015 ASEAN community.
Indeed.
Because obviously, I mean, there will be strong competition in certain sectors. And I know that Cambodia is well aware of that, and is speeding up, all what it can to develop the skills, for example, of the people to be in better position to compete with other ASEAN countries.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I hope that all the citizens of ASEAN will benefit from the 2015 ASEAN community.
Yeah, and that's why for this year theme is one community, one destiny. People ask, but what does it mean? It would mean that for us, integration is everything. If integration from the free flow of good, free flow of people, free flow of service, unless this integration work, we wouldn't be able to benefit. Then there'll be always this development gap, between the advanced, richer ASEAN country and the not so advanced, lesser developed ASEAN, and Cambodia fit in the second category. But having said that, I think 2015 will be a game changer, in the sense that we will not be a small country, but we are one of the gateway toward the larger market. But
if I may say, you are already you are already to a certain extent. I mean, you know that Cambodia, as a less developing country for the time being, I know that it's not going to last, but at least for the time being, is benefiting from a specific trade preferences from the European Union.
The Everything But Arms initiative.
Indeed. So meaning that you can export from Cambodia everything but arms, quota free and duty free to the European Union. And Cambodia has been very good in using it.
Oh yes,
so
indeed.
far.
I mean, from a trade statistic, where we export more than 1.5 billion.
Yes, indeed. Which is almost 30% of your total export going to the EU.
But I'm glad you mentioned the ABA, because this special preferential trade agreement that the EU extend to this developed country like Cambodia means a lot. It gives a sort of like a stepping stone for a certain industry or industry to have a sort of like an edge,
yes,
or at least a tariff edge, you know, a pricing edge, you know, to develop itself. And I take, for example, the case of the rice export sector, for example. You know, had we not, I'll be honest, had we not had the EBA, that rice sector would not stand a chance. Because when you start from zero base and to enter heads-on with major exporting rice exporting country like Thailand and Vietnam, your chances are slim.
Yeah, sure.
But with the EBA, it gives us a head start. And with that head start, the industry start to develop, start to learn, start to, you know, grow. And I think by the time Cambodia, you know, reach a stage where we're not anymore a least developed country, we'll be a developing country, we should be in a position to be competitive on our own.
Yes,
right?
Indeed.
But this is something that I would say that the Cambodian society here, you know, particularly those who are trading, and you know, from the benefit they export, the filter effect to the poverty, the Cambodian poor in the province, in the rural area, it's can be felt, you know, and this is something that we Cambodian are very, you know, we feel very grateful to this initiative from the European community and its people.
Yeah, I think, I mean, this EBA scheme, I mean, we clearly see it as a development tool for a country like Cambodia or others. I think, beside, I would say, the fact that it allows developing countries to make a step up.
Yes.
It's also, I think, a mechanism which helps developing countries in setting up also the right legal framework on different issues. I mean, obviously, this EBA scheme come along with the respect on a number of international obligations, such as international labor conventions, something like that. So, and I know as well, I mean, Cambodia has been very good into that by setting up, for example, this Cambodia Better Factory program, which I would say in parallel, in parallel of developing the industry, has developed also standards to make sure that people who will be employed will be employed under
the right protection, the labor,
exactly.
the worker, you know, it's very good.
And that for us it's very important for the European Union, not only I would say to develop, just for developing, but also to develop in the right way. That is a key for us.
Jean-Francois, I mean, you've been, of course, you only 6 months old in Cambodia, but in terms of the EU contribution to Cambodia development, you know, the support to the peace process, you know, the support in the rehabilitation in the early 90s, and later on, you know, so many different programs to help, you know, Cambodia. What are the few that you think you're proud of, you know, that at least from your predecessor who have engaged, you know?
I think what I think we can, I mean, what the European Union with Cambodia counterparts can be proud of is, I would say, it's a process.
Yes.
Because we started 20 years ago. Actually, it's it's an anniversary of the 20 years of presence of the European Union as supporter of the country. And we started with a small technical office running emergency and rehabilitation programs. 10 years ago, we opened a diplomatic mission here. And now what we are doing today with the government of Cambodia has, I would say to a certain extent, nothing to do with what we did 20 years ago, where we were just, you know, running ourselves programs and projects. Where now what we are doing mostly is supporting the government in its own development for the country. So we are channeling part of our funding through the government in education, for example, in governance, in public finances management, in trade. So on that, you know, the relationship between the European Union and Cambodia has dramatically changed, actually. We see Cambodia as a partner.
It's a paradigm shift.
Exactly. It's a partner for us, and we are working with a partner on different issues. And I'm very pleased in all the different sectors we work. I mean, we have a very deep and confident, I would say, relationship with the different ministries, where we are involved in most, not the decision making, because obviously that depends.
Yes.
It's with the government, but at least on the preparation of the decision making.
Yes. I can cite a very personal anecdote when I was with the Ministry of Commerce, and in 2004, I worked with one of your colleagues to establish the first ever in the whole world a trade sector-wide approach.
Yeah.
And in fact, the gist of this whole, trade swap is all about empowering the government to take ownership. Yeah. Harmonizing. You drive the process. The EU provide the technical help, provide the input. But the government drive the process.
Yeah.
And now the trade swap is a model that Laos is doing, and in Geneva, people are asking, about the lesson learned, the best practice, But to me, it's something that I see in the EU, which you take a very sort of like proactive way, to build the partnership, with a country, and this sector-wide approach is a good case where, it's difficult to start because it's so wide. Yeah. It's so much cross-cutting, right? It affects so many different, subsector than just trade, for example. But ultimately, it's about the government coordinating among itself and then take the ownership, Yeah. And then I see that over time, there was no need anymore to have the donor to be part of the process because they have helped build the capacity, and then the country takes over. So that's a good example, and I personally was very involved in the early days where people say, my God, how are you going to drive this sector-wide approach, Are there any experience? I said, well, no.
So and I think what also, I guess also Cambodia is an excellent case also when you look at the partnership, as I said, between the government and the development partners.
Yes.
And also the coordination between the government and the development partner. It's a kind of model in terms of partnership. We don't find that in many countries, where there is this so close cooperation between development partners and the government.
Yes.
Another important point for us here in Cambodia, and it's something I mentioned during my speech for the 9th of May, is that for a country like Cambodia, to develop, you need two strong legs.
Yes.
One is the government. It's what we are doing. We are supporting the government, and it is also the civil society.
Yes, it's important. Very.
You
important.
cannot have, only one.
Yes.
And we do also fund the civil society here in Cambodia.
Yes.
There are, as in any country, there are some problems time to time in Cambodia. We all, the European Union and Cambodia share the same values, the same visions. Democracy, rule of law, protection of human rights are enshrined into the constitution of Cambodia.
Yes.
They are enshrined into our European Union treaties.
And soon it will be enshrined in the ASEAN.
Indeed.
And that's why this year Cambodia is pushing to get the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration.
Indeed, and that will be an important step for ASEAN. But we know also that it's good to have that on paper.
Yes,
the practice is also difficult, and we know in Cambodia, as we know that in Europe.
Yes.
It's an everyday work. It's an everyday battle.
It
to fight for democracy, rule of law,
exactly.
and human rights. And that needs the commitment of both the political leaders, clearly,
indeed,
but also the presence of the strong civil society as well.
Good.
So it's what we are doing here.
Well, Jean-François, unfortunately we're coming to the end of the 30-minute show. I'd like to ask you if you have any special message for Cambodia.
Before a message, I have a gift.
Okay.
I have a gift for you.
Yes.
Which is a bag.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Yes.
That I want to give you.
Okay.
We'll try to to cut a little bit the use of plastic bags.
Okay. Yes. Green. I can see.
Green.
It's green.
It's green.
Yes. All right.
My message is very, very simple.
Yes.
I'll give you the bag.
All right.
My message is very simple. I would like to ask, or not request, but at least ask the people who are watching this program to go to the EU Film Festival.
Okay. EU Film Festival.
Yes,
Right.
we have a festival from the 7th of May to the 31st of May.
Okay.
With 12 movies.
Yes, yes.
Coming from 11 European countries.
Yes, yes.
And in 2 places, in Phnom Penh and in Siem Reap,
yes.
they are dubbed in Khmer language.
Yes, yes.
So easy access.
Yes.
Free access as
yes.
well. So I would just, make the promotion of this event in Cambodia.
All right, good.
And that is a program for you.
Thank you. Yes. Thanks. Well, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of the program, but from this very short exchange between, I would say between the European community, European Union, and Cambodia and ASEAN here, we sort of have a glimpse a bit on the potential of this partnership between 2 major sort of like continental bloc on one side, and then ASEAN, which is not really a continent, but you have some continent, but you have also some island, but it's a bloc in itself. It's economic, political bloc, and the exchange between the 2 blocs is very powerful. And that's why I see that the future, we have to be able to draw the benefit from this exchange in terms of investment, in terms of trade, in terms of cultural exchange. And Ambassador just promote the European Union Film Festival. All this exchange, understanding each other culture, each other value is very important in terms of strengthening and deepening the relation between these 2 so-called block, but at the same time the people of the 2 block. So on that note, I want to say thank you for watching our show, and back to the official side is Mr. Ambassador. Thank you so much for taking the time to come.
Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.